In the forgotten town of Ravensmoor, whispers of a ghostly legend persisted through the years, chilling the bones of those who dared listen. It was said that deep within the shadowed woods, a spirit wandered, a figure that haunted the streets after dark, but had no face to mark its existence. People called it the Headless Wraith, though its appearance was far worse than anyone could imagine. When dusk fell and the mist rolled in thick like a suffocating blanket, a strange silence would settle over the village, as if the earth itself held its breath. The first warning was the eerie sound of footsteps, slow, deliberate, as if pacing between realms, distant but unnerving. Those who glimpsed it spoke of a tall, lanky figure dressed in tattered clothes that fluttered as though caught in an unseen breeze. The most terrifying part was not its form, but what was missing, its head. No one ever saw the face of the wraith. Instead, a black void swirled where its neck should have been, a void so deep and consuming that gazing into it felt like being sucked into the abyss. It was rumored that the Headless Wraith had been a person once, a tortured soul wronged in life, who met a grisly fate at the hands of an unknown killer. As the legend went, the killer took the Wraith's head in the cruelest of ways, decapitating it, but not allowing the body to rest. It was trapped in a never-ending search for its lost head, roaming the earth, a spirit bound to torment those who dared cross its path. There was something uniquely malevolent about its presence. It never screamed or wailed like other spirits, but instead a cold, unnatural wind would blow in its wake, carrying with it the faintest trace of something foul, like death itself. Sometimes, if the wind touched your skin, it would freeze to the bone, leaving you with an ache that lingered for days. No one ever truly escaped its grasp. The curse didn't end with those who witnessed it. Those unlucky enough to encounter the wraith would soon fall prey to its creeping influence. One by one, they'd start hearing whispers in the dead of night, calling them toward the woods, toward the place where the wraith wandered, the black void beckoning like a siren's call. Some would disappear entirely, found days later, eyes wide with terror, bodies shaking and lips mumbling incoherently. They'd never speak of what they saw, for fear that even the mention of it would bring the wraith back to finish what it started. As time passed, Ravensmoor fell into a state of eerie neglect. Buildings were abandoned, crops died off, and the land itself seemed to become cursed. Strange things began to occur. Villagers claimed to hear knocking on their doors at night only to find no one there. Some even reported seeing a tall, faceless figure standing in their windows, its hands pressed against the glass, its black void staring back at them. But when they opened the door, no one would be there, and yet the chilling air remained, lingering like a ghost of its own. The Headless Wraith is said to be tied to the idea that the loss of the head represents not just a physical disfigurement, but the severing of a soul's purpose. Without a head, without an identity, the wraith is neither living nor dead, caught in the limbo between. It wanders aimlessly, seeking what can never be found. Some scholars believe the wraith's existence is a result of a curse tied to a darker truth, that there are places in the world where the spirit world is not separate from the living, where the two realms intertwine so closely that the dead can walk among us in search of something lost. And it's not just the wraith that haunts such places. Other spirits roam, their existence tied to a torment beyond comprehension, trapped in forms twisted by their pain. The lesson of Ravensmoor: Never look into the void where a head should be, for if you do, you might just find yourself walking in the Wraith's shoes, forever lost in a world where your identity has been stolen, and there's no return. If you hear the wind at night, and if it's colder than it should be, turn back. You might not want to know whose footsteps you're following.